We've got a great panel discussion coming up. And before I start, you know, it's very familiar. We've all traveled, we've seen the traffic jams in Manali, the huge queues in Shimla, crowded beaches in Goa, and we've all cribbed about it. But when somebody asks us for a recommendation to go somewhere, we end up promoting the same destinations. That's typically what happens. It's in many ways it's a dichotomy because if I look at India, I don't think there is a country in the world which has more tourism potential and more to offer than India. And all of us in this room are fairly familiar with what I'm saying. So with that as a sort of preamble, we're going to get into this discussion. We have a fabulous panel. We have policymakers, we have industry spokespeople, we've got investors from the hospitality sector, we've got brands who operate hotels, we've got the travel fraternity who promotes destinations. So my sense is that in about 45 minutes from now, we would have resolved the tourism problem that we are facing. Give us a patient give us a patient hearing, ladies and gentlemen. So let's start with one general question, and this one, since we are just warming up, let's keep the answer as short as possible, and then we'll sort of dig deeper into it. So the question is, why do destinations remain unknown? Start with you.
Time and choice. People have less and less time. People have more and more choices. For any destination to shine, it takes a lot of money to market. And I think that's a very fundamental thing for any product in the world.
Perfect. Mr. Kachru.
I actually want to keep it short. What Rajiv said, I think is absolutely correct. I think if you consolidate what he has said, is the real answer, if you ask me.
Perfect. Mr. Billa, from the government's perspective, policy perspective, let's hear what you might have to say.
I think lack of awareness and lack of readiness, infrastructure, everything else that goes with it.
Vishvapreet?
So for us, it's very important that if a particular destination is unknown, it's primarily because we don't talk about it. So awareness is a very, very key element to that. And also, for everybody to travel, connectivity becomes even more important. So these are two elements that's important.
Perfect.
Same thing, it's basically first awareness, how prepared that destination is, and connectivity to that area, that is very important for those people to be noticed.
Wonderful. So with that as a sort of starting point, let's start digging a little deeper. I'm going to come to you, Suman, first. So India doesn't lack destinations, it lacks successful destinations. What could be the reason for that?
I think part of the problem is by design, and part of the problem is that, you see, if you have to look at how our destinations have developed, we have not really developed any new destinations in the past maybe 70, 75 years since independence. There is probably one Kevadia, one Ambi Valley, or one Lavasa. But we've not really developed destinations at scale. Now the problem that we have is that the problem statement is that your demand is exploding, but you just don't have enough destinations. And whatever destinations you have today are getting overcrowded, which means that first, they're not price competitive, and secondly, you're losing it to a lot of outbound. So I think, to my mind, we will have to make this deliberate choice on how do we identify destinations which have the potential, which means not just awareness, because it's very easy to send, to give, like the Prime Minister, once he tweeted about Lakshadweep, they were overrun by tourists. The idea is that if you bring awareness, you will get run over, but I think you need to do it in a calibrated manner to ensure that there is all of the things that go into a destination, like connectivity, as our colleagues have said, and how do we also ensure there are enough signages, there are washrooms, there's accommodation, there's food, all of those things need to go hand in hand. But I think the problem statement with us is that we've got far too few destinations and far too much demand. And I think it's, it's basically, it's plain as daylight that we need to see as to how to expand this.
Mr. Kachru, do hotels make destinations or do destinations make hotels?
Mandeep is actually a combination of both, if you ask me. And I may make some controversial remarks
Oh, nice. Please.
here or there. But some destinations have been there and they have got such a boost because the right hotel came there.
Correct.
I mean, case in point is Udaipur. For example, every Government of India poster for Rajasthan had hotel, Lake Palace
The
Hotel
Lake Palace on
there.
yeah.
So it was known. So there are possibilities for both. But yes, we're very lucky that government and industry has jointly worked for it and actually put up their case that we do want destinations. We must actually acknowledge that it's just not the Agras and Jaipurs and Kerala only places to go. We have to create new destinations. Government announced, and Suman ji is here. I sometimes joke with him that the past that be announced 50 destinations, and I think it is the best kept secret. We don't know. We don't know which. We don't know what those destinations are, and a combination of marketing destinations with not having right infrastructure, not being ready to receive a client, a guest, or a tourist, whichever, how you classify that. So I think it's combination. You have to work simultaneously, whether we speak about connectivity, we speak about infrastructure, we speak about hotels. So, but you have to bring in people who can take risks. And I feel from the industry point of view, we can only benefit if we understand how to take risks. We have to believe in those destinations that yes, that destination has the potential. We build a hotel and will contribute to the development of destination. But yes, simultaneously, one has to work at developing destination as a package.
And talking about risk, Vishvapreet, I'm going to come to you as a hotelier who invests in destinations and in hotels. Would you would you be a first mover in a destination?
So let me answer that question a little differently. We first how do we assess a destination, right? Whether it's not just tourism sector or pilgrim sector or it's business sector. For us, as a hotel owner and also developer and also managing properties, we look at which destinations have there is movability happening. So that is the first feasibility. For example, we did a study as to there are 200 flights of Indigo in certain sectors across India, and out of that we've now mapped 90. We've got hotels in 90, and our aim is to get to those 200. Right. So first of all, we look at that. We also map railway connectivity, and in terms of road transportation, we look at how far are we from these key 8 metros. Are we in 4-hour radius, right? So that if somebody wants to drive, he or she can drive there. So one is connectivity. The second one for us is, which is very important, is the community ready to accept a branded hotel, right? There's no point building a hotel if there are no train guides, if there are no, let's say it's a tourist destination and there are no train guides, or the community is not welcoming guests, then it becomes a bit of a challenge, because then you're trying to develop the community first rather than building the hotel. So that element also or we take into account. And finally, location, particularly in the city, whether it is next to a big monument, or whether it is next to a business hub, or it is next to a beach. For example, Dapoli, when we invested into Dapoli, we've got 2 hotels there actually, but to get to there becomes a, yeah, okay, fair.
Yeah. We were involved in getting you one of those hotels.
Fair. No, but these are important things.
When Dapoli first came, I had to look it up in the map here to find out where it is. Yeah, please, go ahead. Sorry.
So it's important that, because we're investing capital, so there has to be a return.
Correct.
So that's it.
Rajiv, we were talking about demand. We were talking about whether a destination creates a hotel, hotel creates a destination. What is that trigger when you would put something on your itinerary, and what holds you back in putting something on your itinerary?
You know, I tell, and we obviously specialize in inbound as my core business. And I often tell my clients, I'm very blessed to have so much to offer, but we're also very cursed to have so much to offer. Where to start? We have some amazing places in this country, and the pandemic was horrible for everybody, but the pandemic was perhaps the first time in my life I got the opportunity to travel within my own country. And I got to see things that I never would have seen in my normal daily lives where we're always doing office stuff. No matter how great a destination is, no matter how amazing the history and culture is, I, as a DMC, cannot ignore the basic hygiene factors. Okay? A traveler goes, he will get a wonderful cultural experience or historical experience, but at the end of the day, the traveler wants clean bathrooms, clean rooms, good food. And not necessarily saying luxury, but there are basic hygiene factors. And unless a destination has something that we can confidently sell, it's not going to come on our map unless the guest asks for it very specifically. We just had a partner who traveled for about 45 days. This person and his wife are India crazy, young couple, mid-20s. Yesterday I had a debriefing call with him, and it was a 1.5-hour call, and it was very interesting to listen to the perspective. I love the forest, but the lodge was so poor that I don't think I can send my clients over there. So I think the basic hygiene factors are important whether we like it or not. The destination alone cannot be the primary driver to somebody in the industry professionally selling to clients.
Yeah. Mr. Kohli, I'll build on what Rajiv just said, that what is it that travelers are demanding today from lesser known destinations which we are not being able to deliver?
You see, first of all, when you are trying to promote a lesser known destination, you have to see that at least the basic facilities are there. I'll just give you an example. We were in Meghalaya just a couple of days back. Now, hotels are there in Shillong, fine. Other places, unbelievable. Bed and breakfasts are coming up in a big way. Now, 7-8 rooms hotels, these big bed and breakfast, and they are trying to showcase, first of all, what people can come here and see. So they are trying to develop programs which they can tell a client for a day or two, stay here, and this is what is to look around these places. I've physically seen that. There is nothing. Like Statue of Unity is the only man-made destination we have ever seen in our life coming up in India. Not like Europe. Everything is man-made destination. But here, these people are trying to find out somewhere the down line, they were showing us that we could show you some Shivas, I don't know how many idols are there in one place. Somewhere in Meghalaya. Never heard. So people are coming up, and this is the way when lesser known destinations will be there. But then Mr. Billa is sitting here. The government has to make basic arrangements there. which is first, as Rajiv said correctly, hygiene. That needs to be there.
Yeah.
That needs to be there. There are no toilets in that area. And you will not believe it, we were 8, 10 of us. We had a bed and breakfast open for rather 15 of us. And he says, I'll take 1,000 rupees and I'll open the bathrooms for you.
Yeah.
Fine, no problem, do it. But then this is what is lacking when you, and then the clients do not go there. Why don't Americans go to these lesser known destinations at all? The Germans will go, the French will go, but Americans or Britishers will not go because they want everything up to the mark.
Right.
But then another saying, hotels, I have seen a number of places where hotels have opened up and they have really developed that area.
Right.
I think our Mandeep, to answer, it may not be exactly what you asked for, but I think we have to correct and acknowledge what are the basics. And fortunately, if I may say, Mr. Billa, government and industry is talking the same language, that, we have to, all of us have to take some ownership of this.
Correct.
We cannot always say, ye government karegi, ye wo karega, and we have no responsibility, we want a ready-made product. It's not going to happen. And I think the key factor, I feel, is if we go on what Mr. Berry has created, Paryatan Se Parivartan, I mean, it'll actually happen if we involve what Rajiv and Mr. Cheema said. The key factor is that you have to take these communities along. It has not to be to the community, it has to be with the community. They must see the advantages of what tourism can bring to them.
Absolutely.
They should not feel, somebody else is making money. They are partners in it. If we are able to create such an atmosphere that it is everybody's business, it's everybody's responsibility, and we are all accountable for this. It's not going to happen till then.
So I think the key to this really is that resources are finite. And there's no point in stating the problem that there are no washrooms, That is not going to change because our problem is large and the resources you have are finite. I think what we need to do is to put some method behind the madness. How do we figure out between the government, I don't mean just the government of India, because we're probably the weakest in all, because with 2,000 odd crores on infrastructure a year, there's only so much that you can do. But between the government of India, between the state government and the industry, let's do a more calibrated approach in which we shortlist and say these are the destinations. Let's map them and say how ready are these destinations to do this? What are the critical gaps? And my sense is that we should start with a small number, don't bite off more than you can chew, and try to work on them over a period of 2 years, 3 years, etc. And towards a common purpose. It's not just that the government has built something and then they walk away, but I think the industry, all of us need to work together to make that work. And my sense is that if you are able to create a critical mass and if they succeed, then it also opens a pathway for the government to deploy its budget more intelligently. Suppose we have done 30 destinations, 20 of them or 15 of them are doing well. That is where you need to invest more. And those are the states which are more proactive, and those are the ones which need to be rewarded more. And the market will also reward them by sending, more people. So I think we need to do a little bit more, bring some method to this madness, take a calibrated approach, prioritize destinations, not just go into, anything that is open, but I think we need to look at which gives us the best chances of success and show.
The test of tourism, as they say, is that when the tourists leave the destination, have they made the destination better or worse? That's the real acid test for good quality tourism. Let me change the tack a little. One of the issues that we are currently grappling with, Suman, you're in the hot seat on that one, is this whole issue between international arrivals and domestic tourism, right? I think the general consensus, and if you look at it globally, is that a tourism product for any country cannot survive without necessarily getting the global traveler into your country, because they are the people who have the big bucks to spend in your country. But we have a huge dichotomy of that. We have a very small portion of global travelers who come in, and our domestic travel is really very, very large, 2 billion travel visits, etc. Everybody knows the data. My question to you is, and then I'm going to come to you, should we be building destinations keeping in mind the global traveler, or should we be making destinations keeping in mind the domestic traveler?
I don't think we can prioritize it, or we can say that it's only going to be this way or the other. I think there will be some which would yield themselves better to a domestic traveler, like say pilgrimage sites, etc., which would sort of work on that. There could be some which would probably be a better fit for the global traveler. But my sense is, today, it is not just about getting the international traveler in. The problem that we have today is you have 20 million people coming in, bringing in 32 million. You have 30 million people going out, spending 37 billion. So you become a net, forex loser. But that rate of outbound is growing faster than inbound. So the challenge that you have is not just to get more inbound in, is also as to how are you going to retain your, domestic traveler within the country. And if you're going to only stick to the destinations that we have, there is already, all of us know that we are no longer a very competitively priced destination in the global landscape today. And that is going to worsen. So I think for us, we will need to look at a combination of both retaining domestic as well as, I think, why does international work? And I think in Kerala, since, for the past, 25, 30 years that we were working on, we've always benchmarked our destinations to international. Because our understanding then is, I have no shame in saying, but at that point of time we thought that if we are able to build a destination which is able to attract international, then domestic will automatically follow. I don't think that thesis holds today, because I think today domestic is equally demanding, and they're probably much more higher paying than the international are. But I think it is basically not so much domestic versus international, but it's about segmenting a destination for a, low footprint, high yield traveler, as against, say, a spiritual destination where that philosophy would work, but probably to a much lesser degree than before.
Rajiv, why are we seeing the revival not necessarily happening for the global travel post-COVID?
It's very simple. It's marketing. Take away tourism, it's a product. And it doesn't matter you're selling shoes, you're selling pens, you're selling cars, you're selling phones. The world sells on sales and marketing tactics. People buy what people see. Now, me, Rohit, Dimple, the team, we've been traveling for the last 7, 8 months into this year, 6 months plus last year. There's simply no demand for India because there's no impulse. Why are Indians traveling abroad? Because close to 100 tourism boards are putting tons of money into Indian advertising, into social media, into fam trips, into educating the outbound travel fraternity. So it's pure sales and marketing, it's economics. We do get people, and we're getting the people who are generally interested or have seen a lot else and want to come here. Are we getting our fair share? No. And our clients tell us, phones are not ringing, people just don't know about India, and honestly, we as travel professionals selling overseas, we don't have enough staff to dedicate to selling niche markets, neither do we have the money. So we're totally suffering from a pure absence of being in front of the consumer. I mean, there are bright spots. Somebody posted in one of our groups 2 days ago a picture, I think in London or Europe, a double-decker decked, branded with tigers from Madhya Pradesh. Good. Can we encourage more states to go out and market and promote? We should. But I think it's just fundamental. I mean, another reason, to Mr. Billa's comments, net foreign exchange earnings are negative because Indians are traveling abroad. Indians are traveling abroad because India can be very, very boring. We don't have nightlife. We don't have night markets. I, as an inbound operator, do not have one credible cultural dance show in this entire country. I struggle to feed 100 people in a place like Delhi. And these are little things that clients are looking at. They want to go somewhere that's fun. They want to go somewhere they can shop. They want to go somewhere they can party. They can go somewhere they can drink, plus see the culture. We are old-fashioned in that way.
There's so much I can pick up from what you're saying, and it will be an endless conversation. But I'm going to come to you, Mr. Kachru, and I'm going to ask you a question.
Before that, I just want to add to what Rajiv said. I don't know, this is, I'd seek Mr. Billa's understanding on this. If we know what the problem is, why are we not acknowledging what needs to be done? And if we acknowledge, why aren't we able to do something about it? If we all understand that we want to create a vibe for India, for global tourism, and whatever needs to be done, we could have 5, 6 priorities and identify them, have it agreed between the industry and the policy makers, and just focus on that rather than, we talk about the same thing all the time. I just wanted to add.
I will like to add here is
Go ahead.
that unless and until we go abroad and make noise about India, nothing is going to happen.
So
We have to make, and I'll give you an example. The present government, in the center government, whenever elections comes, right from the big boss, they all start at 7 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock in the night, going from here to there, knowing that they will get 47% votes. They will get, but still they make noise. Same here, I have told everyone about this, that unless until you go abroad, you don't do marketing, you don't make noise. What is happening, as someone just said? Those 100 boards, the amount of impact they are taking and they're taking out. What happened? I still remember in this hall, just after COVID, Vietnam was not even known till COVID. And same place, Vietnam, they held a road show here. I was invited there. And now, 14, 15 flights a day from various places going to Vietnam and all full. All full. So we have to do something about it. And simply, our question is, and we were sitting with one of the chief ministers the other day, all of them. Question is, everyone acknowledges that inbound tourism is the only way for survival for everyone.
right.
But no one has an answer what needs to be done. They are quiet on that.
I tend to slightly disagree. I think the answers are available. It's just the execution of those answers which becomes the issue. And I'll speak for Suman a little because he's the only government representative here.
I can speak for
And he's getting. And I want to clarify. He is far more adept than me to answer for himself. He's one of the best spokespeople you can
Absolutely,
get for our sector.
I absolutely agree with you.
But I'm just saying that there's only so much that we can address to him. But I will come to you, Suman. This is a pain point. You're well aware of it.
No, but Suman is one person
Let me finish
who is not government. He works like a private and tries to do things which others did not. I don't want to name anyone there.
Let's give him the floor.
So let me put this to rest and let me be a bit blunt on this. There's no point in speaking to the bureaucracy. We've probably done this 50 times. We'll probably do this 50 more times. I am not the person that you need to convince. The question that you need to ask yourself is, do you have the horsepower to be heard at the highest level politically and make a change?
Correct.
If you're able to do it, you're talking. If
Yeah.
you're not able to do it, don't talk to me because you don't have to preach to the Pope. I am more converted than you are.
Absolutely. And this has been the problem with our sector from the time that I started attending conferences and conventions and being on the dais for the last 20, 25 years, we're talking about the same thing. We've not been able to create a lobby strong enough for us to get heard. It's getting better, I'd like to say. Mr. Kachru can throw some more light. He's been very, very, deeply involved in this. I think that we are making some headway, but there is still, of course, a lot more that we need to achieve. Long way to go. But Mr. Kachru, I'm going to ask you a question saying, on hospitality, can hospitality be viewed beyond being a regular business into something that is a catalyst for the economy and for social transformation?
Mandeep, I'll come back to the same thing. We all, here I don't want to differentiate between government policy holders and industry. We all are involved. It is a catalyst. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It is a catalyst. And unless and until we accept that, we acknowledge what benefits can we get out of tourism. And as Mr. Billa just now said, do you have the horsepower to take it forward and get it agreed by the powers that be? It will not be a catalyst till then. For the last 2 or 3 years, we have been emphasizing on the fact how much we contribute to the GDP, how many jobs. We're talking about 50 million jobs, going up to 65 million jobs. But when we talk about getting FDI into the country to develop hospitality business, we are still around $570 million. So just see the gap we have. We have the possibility, we have to create trust amongst various stakeholders. And if we are providing from 9% to 15% of the jobs, it's a debatable thing. We say directly we provide 9%, 10% of the jobs, but direct and indirect, Milake, it can even go up to 20%. This is the biggest weapon we have today. If we are providing 15 to 20% of the jobs Indians need, what else do we want?
Right.
Those are also votes.
Yeah.
But we have to continuously work on it. We have a very long way to go, but we have to work collectively.
Correct. Suman, can I ask you a question, a little candid? I don't think that there is too much of rocket science required to understand the equation that tourism provides on the national economy front. I think we've been going on and on how much it's a contributor directly and indirectly to the GDP, to employment. Where are we missing the plot? If the equation really makes sense, which I think globally there's enough demonstration that tourism as a product really can be a great catalyst for the economy and for everything else that matters. What is it that we are missing? Is it more coming from a framework of a DNA, a socialist DNA, and the fact that this industry has always been looked more like a sin industry, which we have not been able to change that perception? What's missing, Suman?
So I think probably 3 things. The first is, of course, there's no doubt that what tourism can contribute by way of jobs, and that's the biggest challenge that India has. All of that is well known. But there's no point in us, saying this to ourselves, all the time. We need to also be able to communicate that to the powers that be. Second is that if I were the Prime Minister, I've got one of the several segments which are vying for my attention. I am looking at artificial intelligence, superconductors, there are many growth areas, GCCs, etc. All of that I'm looking at. And tourism is one of the elements which is there. How do we make our pitch be heard so that, you say that, okay, this is going to be a priority for me, this is where I'm going to put my resources. Because it happens, some states, like the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh says tourism is a priority for me. And to be fair to him, he's doing his best to move the needle on that. The third is, there is also an issue of perception. And I think this is probably when I said, do you have this horsepower to go and do? I think there is a very large, and I don't mean anybody, but I think this is a general thing. And from whatever I have traveled across the states, I have met some chief ministers, some tourism ministers, etc. There is a lot of smugness. Because people think that first, as you said, tourism is a rich man's game, if there is, let people pay. Second thing is, they think that tourism is doing well because they are able to see the growth. But what they are not able to see is how much more growth could have happened.
The potential.
And, by all accounts, it looks like you're doing well, but you're capable of doing 5x more, 6x more. But I think that is something, that is not happening. And which is why when we go to the GST Council, and I think that is really the bellwether that we have. How many times have we been able to get a favorable, position for us in the GST Council? That's where the finance ministers of all the states sit, and the union finance minister also sits. So, which is why I think we need to, the idea is on communication, is about changing this perception that tourism is a rich man's game, it will take care of itself, they don't need us to sort of step in and support. And I think it is that perception that we need to change.
Right.
Can I add something?
Please go ahead, Rajiv.
Several years ago, one of the senior most bureaucrats we know who loves tourism has been here, told me one thing. He said, Rajiv, the problem with you guys is you run like a cottage industry. You come to the government, tax kam kar do, entrances fees kam kar do, automotive comes, we need 20,000 this. Infrastructure goes, we need 50,000 this. He says, so when you keep on going to the government with these little piddly projects, you're not taken seriously. You're taken like you're just a college club. And for whatever reason, and this baffles me, there's something that happens in the track when the bureaucrats go up in the IAS that they just think we're only luxury. When the GST came out, I attended 4 different meetings of associations where the GST officer came to explain what GST is going to be. All of them used the word luxury. What I really want to do is take Mr. Billa, take all the retired secretaries in a room and try to understand where are we going wrong in impressing the civil servants in the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Home Affairs, because we're too small here. That's where the policy is happening. And we obviously have not picked up what's going wrong, because obviously something has gone wrong.
Yeah, go ahead, Suman.
So let me just say, Rajiv, that I don't think the problem is at the level of civil servants. Because I think from whatever... No, I'm not saying it at my level, because I also speak to civil servants in the Ministry of Finance, with GST Council, all of that. I have rarely seen a pushback from them. I think the position is more political.
Yeah.
Because it is the perception that is there. Somebody who has grown through the political thing in the past 40 years and he's become the finance minister, there's a certain understanding that he has.
Right.
And I think that is what we need to change.
But we've
I think bureaucrats are a little bit more open to things like job creation, contribution to GDP, Forex, they understand it a little bit more. So if you ask me today, maybe I would have said 10 years ago when I was joint secretary, bureaucrats were also a problem. But today, I don't think that is the problem, because even principal secretary to the prime minister, they understand it.
Yeah.
But I also say at least 20% of member of parliaments have some economic interest in tourism. If we go attack those 20%, let them carry the story inside.
Our tourism minister is a hotelier, yeah. So
He's very good.
Yeah,
He's
been such a great ambassador for us.
Mandeep, on a lighter note, I just want to press on a point that we should stop showing movies of 50s and 60s where a hotel manager was depicted as a gangster.
And an owner as well.
Or running a mafia.
The hotel was all owned by the mafia.
So I think that perception is unfortunate. That's on a lighter note. But I think what Rajiv is saying, we need to work hard on it. Everybody knows what the problem is. And let's keep on going on.
I love all these conventions and all these discussions we have. we come with that whole, ammunition of, saying what we need, and it all comes back to us. It's deflected to us on how poorly we've done in the many years of not being able to convince the government, and we're still at it. But
No,
Vishvapreet, sorry.
Sorry. I just want to add, sir, what you're saying is correct. When, as an IATO delegation, when Mr. Shekhawat had taken over, we had gone there. I was the president that time. And my only thing to him was that, sir, you are very close to the Honorable Prime Minister. Please have these doubts cleared from his mind. These are the points where the bottleneck is. And this information has come from my people in the Ministry of Tourism, and which I told him very clearly in front of those who were sitting. So the other day when we were having faith president's meeting at Bharat Mandapam, and this after the meeting we were sitting with on a cup of tea, and I asked him, I said, what happened? You were supposed to be very close to the PM. He said, Mr. Mehra, I have totally failed in that angle. I have totally failed. So the question here is, as Mr. Billa is saying, they are all willing to do things for us, all of them. Today we had some problems in Maharashtra. One of the IS officers I spoke with solved in 5 minutes, solved for one of our members. The question is that this part is stuck up because of the feedbacks which has been given to him, and unless and until these feedbacks are whitewashed, nothing is going to happen, as you rightly said.
So let me just, I think now we are treading on dangerous territory, and I think it's not good for anybody in the room to be doing this speculation. I am not privy to the conversations that you have had with Mr. Shekhawat or anybody else. So I think what has happened in private domain, let it be in the private domain, and let's not speculate between what has gone on. The point that we are trying to make broadly is that we need to engage politically, and I think we should not get into the details. It's not in anybody's interest.
I agree with you. And that's, we all understand that, and we've all been here long enough to understand how that, sort of works. I'm going to quickly, before we come to the sort of closing part of this, Vishvapreet, I'm going to ask you, you're a company which is largely into mid-scale and upscale hotels, lesser in the luxury segment, although you've made foray into the luxury segment as well. How do you look at newer destinations and the growth for your brand? What sort of things are you mapping for newer destinations?
So I did allude to it earlier also. So for us, it's very important that we are present everywhere. So the essence is that if there is a city that has about 4 or 5 lakh people staying there, and there is some amount of industry, or for that matter, there is some amount of tourist interest, we would want to be present there. You very rightly pointed out that we are a mid-scale brand, so we are very flexible in going from a 17-key hotel to up to 100, 150, 200, or even the largest hotel in the country also belongs to us. So the point here is that for us, it's important that accessibility is there. If accessibility is there, definitely we'll be able to fill up. Second, and more so, there has to be infrastructure completely. At least there should be road infrastructure, or so that I'm not going to invest into a plot of land where you can't just travel to in a car. So that element is extremely important for us. Also, we are very cautious and careful that we are a frugal company, so we don't go about spending just necessarily just because we have to have a hotel in a particular city. It has to make sense. It has to make a ROSI for us as well as for the owner, because here we are not just owning hotels, we are also managing hotels for owners. So for them, it is very important that we give them the promised EBITDA that we sort of advertise about. So it's important to also look at what resources are in and around of that city. We don't want to hire people and send them there. We would want to hire locals, and that's what we do. We also actually we have about 16% ODIs, which is opportunity deprived individuals, which means that people who are not even 10th pass, we hire them. People who are disabled, we hire them. We give opportunities because everybody should have the right to live and to earn their livelihood. So we do that. We look at what resources are there in and around in terms of procurement, so that we don't incur too much of costs. And also now we are very actively looking at renewable energies across the country. How can we map that and bring down the costs and be more efficient? So sustainability also becomes a key moat for us.
Very interesting. Okay, we're going to come to the last sort of few minutes of our conversation, and let's try and make it a little more fun as well. I'm going to ask you very simple questions. I'm going to start with one question saying, name one destination, and I'm going to go around like that, that you think we should be promoting more aggressively.
Northeast India, gorgeous.
Okay. Mr. Kachru?
I would agree with him. Northeast.
Northeast.
We should look at new destinations because I think that is the future.
Mr. Billa?
I agree with them, but I'll qualify it by saying Northeast, but after having done adequate work on the infrastructure side as well.
Yeah.
And of course, there are destinations like Kachru. I think it's a big shame that, something
like that is not really getting its fair share.
Yeah.
Pure, I agree with you. Vishvapreet?
Actually, the city that comes to mind is Hampi. Actually, we don't promote it.
There's just so much
it's
of
a beautiful
cities
city
in India. Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, definitely Northeast is the
high
one
on everyone's
place,
radar.
and things are improving in that area. The infrastructure is improving. What it was a couple of years back, things have changed, especially after getting a proper minister for the Down Air Ministry. Things have changed, and it will change more. And there is a lot of potential. A lot of potential there in that area.
In that region.
Mandeep, I think we need to be cautious on one front. We should not over-promote it to the extent that we can't handle it.
Which is my next question.
Okay.
Okay, name one destination that needs a pause.
I went to Kullu Manali for the first time this year for a celebration.
I started with Manali.
And I walked in Kullu and I said, WTF.
Sorry?
WTF. In the pandemic, I had an opportunity to go to Arunachal Pradesh at the invitation of a delegation by Pema Kundu. I mean, what an amazing lot of administrators they have over there. No egos, no frills. And sorry? But the whole area. And I said one thing. You need to charge people to come into the state, and you need to set carrying capacity. But the biggest problem we have is that either you say, I will address Taj, Leela, Oberoi level properties, or I will address Oyos and little guest houses. It's very hard to please both lots. The top generates less employment, less money in some ways. The bottom addresses the vote bank. And I think until the administrators figure out a middle path, carrying capacity is the biggest problem. And again, what I saw was...
So Manali. Mr.
I
Kachru.
would, I'm actually scared for Himachal and Uttarakhand, both, because there's so much of overcrowding
Happening.
but there's no other place to go in this part of the world. I was last week in Kashmir, and it's
Kashmir was bursting at its seams.
And it was very heartening to see that it's coming back.
Yeah.
Our company has 9 hotels there, and very good for business. But I can give you a small example. I'm sure most of you have traveled to Kashmir. From Kashmir Royal Springs Golf Course to Taj, which is a 5 minutes drive, it took us in the car 1 hour, 15 minutes.
Wow.
So, because the upper mid scale, and upscale markets are booming. People are coming. Nobody knows how to handle these things unless there is a proper structure to handle these things. Over promoting will kill our tourism.
Right.
At least I can assure you, domestically, we are in a big problem.
And these 9 hotels in Kashmir have nothing to do with your roots in Kashmir.
No, actually, fortunately, we are located in Sonamarg, Pahalgam, and Srinagar city, so it's not that much of a problem. But yes, all the mid-scale hotels on the boulevard,
I know.
you are quite familiar
I'm
with
very
boulevard.
familiar with-
That has probably about 60, 70 hotels in half a mile stretch, and you just can't even walk on the road.
Correct. Suman, you have some thoughts on anything we can pause?
I think all hill stations and all pilgrimage centers.
Yeah.
I think it's very straightforward. You don't have to. And the challenge is really not about, we speak about carrying capacity in the abstract. When do you
When do you decide?
take measures to sort of, stall this? Because sometimes, several times when you speak politically, people say, I don't want to talk about it because that's not something that you can. But that is something that we will have to do. So one of the things that we are now doing under this lesser known destinations program is we're trying to build a dashboard, which at least gives us feedback in real time, and we want to get the industries like OTAs, etc., also to loop their data back into us, so that when we get the sense that it is maxing out, you need to stop promoting that and try to push the demand to some other destinations. But I think that's long term, but I think that is probably the way that we should
Perfect.
go.
Vishvapreet, any destination comes to mind?
So, Manali actually.
Manali,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, same here. The hill stations of Himachal, Uttarakhand, and this spiritual places. But having said that, I was in Haridwar recently with the Taj hotels and all these hotels opening up 5-star deluxe properties. One thing has changed. The younger generation had stopped going to these places at all, totally. It was Haridwar, Rishikesh. There were people of a lower category going there. That's really changed.
Changed, yeah.
Today, I will even say that Rajiv's son will say, okay, let's go to Haridwar, Rishikesh.
Right.
Because there are some good hotels, good places to do, and that old thought has changed. Because when after I was above 50, I found out that the younger generation was not interested in going.
Yeah,
But that has changed.
that's changed.
So,
Wonderful.
but at the same time, so much of rush. It took me from Haridwar to Shivpuri 4 hours.
Yeah.
4 hours.
That's the trouble we have in a lot of our hill stations and popular destinations. But ladies and gentlemen, I think we've had a great session. It's been very candid. I'd like to really thank Suman for being very candid, very straight. That's what we need. We need a lot more of straight speaking. We need a lot more of collaboration to work together. And it's been wonderful to get everyone's views and thoughts. My own, if I may just end with the thought, everybody in this room, more than anything else that India needs today, it is hygiene and sanitation. I think those are two of our biggest issues. If we can work towards hygiene and sanitation on a larger platform with everybody in this room working in that direction, and how we can help make our cities and our destinations more cleaner, more hygienic, because that is a problem both for the domestic and the international traveler. And if we can get that right, we would have solved a very, very significant problem while we work on the larger issue of creating better destinations and lesser known destinations.
I would like to add on this what you're saying. I saw that recently in Meghalaya when I was there. Not in even my car, other places. The drivers had kept a dustbin, and he was telling everyone, or in the bus, that please throw the litter in this.
Perfect.
Don't do it. And these are their ambassadors. The drivers and guides will really help if the owners of the transporters train them. They tell your customer to throw the litter here, not to do
Absolutely.
it.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As the timer shows 0000, we couldn't have had a better finish. Thank you very much to all my panelists. I thought this was really wonderful. And a special thank you to Suman Billa.